And the citizens of this country can no longer on Monday, and they will not come back until Friday.
They have to stay in the office.
They have to stay back in the office because they cannot pay daily transport to and fro their offices. So if we are pushing this responsibility to labor alone, it might not work. We have to join labor. Labor, yeah, they can come up and come up with whatever organization they want to organize, but there should be mass protest. Remember what happened in January 2012 when President Goodluck Jonathan tried to remove this same subsidy we have today. It was not labor that organized all that Ojota protest that became a mecca of sorts. It became an entertainment fair. So such should take place. I saw protests in Port Harcourt, Rivers State yesterday, Port Harcourt.
Even Kaduna
too. I saw in Kaduna and all that. More of such should come up because what is happening.
But the one in Kaduna was necessarily not for petrol increase. I think it was politically motivated.
Yeah, but the one in Rivers was. They even had a song. They were more of this must happen. It's like the leadership of this nation do not even know what ordinary Nigeria is going through. Sure. You get to the filling station, you are buying fuel at 658 naira per liter NNPC, and some are selling 600 and all that 700. And at the end of the day, somebody is still telling you that be awaiting price increase. That means before December, if this thing is not checked, we might be buying a liter of fuel for 1,000 naira, and they will still come and tell you tighten your belt. Meanwhile, they are not tightening their own belt. Meanwhile, we are hearing token. We are hearing prayers sent to your email. And we are hearing token for your enjoyment. Yet Nigerians are not enjoying. The people who voted you are not enjoying. But you, that you are supposed to be servant to people that voted you, are enjoying. Is it done anywhere? So we should not leave labor in this affair alone. It should be a situation we are going through because nobody is finding it easy.
Mr. Hafiz, there's a recent implementation of 7.5% value-added tax on automotive gas oil, which we all call diesel, which has pushed up the cost of the commodity to between 900 naira and 950 naira per liter in many states. Now, this development has made local manufacturers say that the situation may lead to the closure of some factories and job losses, and is quite a very disturbing scenario if we look at the current state of unemployment, and the few that are employed have a risk of losing their jobs. Do you think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doesn't understand what the economy entails? Well, let's say objectively, he inherited a stifled economy. He inherited an administration that was not people friendly and did not try to bridge the widened gap between the government and the people. But you came on board. It almost feels like there was no economic apparatus. There was no blueprint as to how to move the economy forward. And so it's almost like they're doing a test run of policies. Let's test this policy and see how it works. So first of all, we deregulate the downstream sector immediately without putting in cushioning effects, no shock absorbing process, no palliative on ground. Then you now say, okay, let's float let's float the naira when we have other competitors in the market, without realizing that even these competitors, do they have the dollar to sell? Because the banks are even saying that they do not even have the dollars at their disposal. And so due to this, there's a decline in time around. There's going to be more of other what you would call incisive motives, or for example, armed robbery. You're going to see a lot of that. Kidnapping is going to be on the rise now, in brazen attempts in cities where you think people are safe. So do you think the president didn't understand the state of the Nigerian economy, before stating that it is his turn to become a president?
I think what is happening to this present administration is that they are too hasty in dishing out some certain policies that without weighing the spillover effect on the people. The policy somersault of this administration is too drastic. On May 29, we saw subsidy is gone. Before they left, immediately after that, we hear floating of naira to the in the open market. Today, naira is about 900 and something naira to $1. Then we are hearing about the VAT now on
value-added tax on diesel.
And you know what that means? Many the few industries that are left that are still grinding to survive, many of them are going to go under the drain.
That's basically what it said.
And as a result, many people are going to lose jobs, and losing job under this hard economy that even those that have job cannot meet their responsibilities in their home. Then now think of being in the labor market without a job. Think of the GSK of this world that they said is leaving Nigeria. Look at all that. Look at what Unilever told us, that some of the brand line are going to be shut down because of difficulties. Hardship in managing them.
And they're no longer having the demand as they used to.
It is not. Do you know what I mean? Once some of these things are out, people are. responsible family men fathers are also going to be thrown into the labor market with all their responsibilities. What does that portray? A man who wakes up in the morning and still able to run around to find something for his family can no longer is at home. He portrays crime will be so much crime will be hashed. People will now begin to think of how to survive negatively because they are not busy. So,
do you know another interesting thing to consider, Mr. Elvis, is the fact that if we have such companies closed down, such very famous brands closed down, like the economic team will say, is an opportunity for entrepreneurs to start off with local production of detergents, all this household items, that we cannot do without to clean and all of that stuff. But be that as it may, it has made the availability of raw materials quite difficult to access. Although the CBN has stated that they will flood the market with $1. In fact, that publication came up about 7 or 8 hours ago, where the CBN has disclosed now that to strengthen the naira, so we don't experience a further decline, they're going to flood the market with $1. It's quite unfortunate when we consider some of these things. We're going to get back into this, but let's look at all the stories in the news. Now, Ohanaeze Igbo, that is the Apex Igbo Social Culture Organization, has urged Nigerians to prepare themselves for potential miracles or shocking outcomes from the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Expressing concerns over the public's heightened expectations, Ohanaeze pointed out the disappointment experienced after the 2023 presidential election. The body warned that a similar scenario may unfold following the tribunal's verdicts. Also, the organization displayed widespread optimism that accompanied the 2023 election due to the new electoral laws and the Independent National Electoral Commission's assurance of a credible, free and fair process. The introduction of electronic transmission of votes was expected to enhance transparency and accountability, giving citizens confidence in the electoral system. However, the election outcome left many Nigerians disheartened and demoralized. Literally, what Ohanaeze Igbo is saying, Mr. Elvis, is that Nigerians should be shocked by what the tribunal is going to eventually give as its judgment, and that Nigerians should be ready for whatever the outcome is. The shocking scenario they are saying is that, okay, the tribunal may actually stay on that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu legitimately, and the optimism, the bated awaiting of Nigerians on what the tribunal will eventually give as its judgment, they should not be disappointed when it doesn't go the way some of them want. What's your take on this? And another thing I want you to notice, this is a factional group of Ohanaeze Igbo. This is the factional group. So what's your take on it?
Well, it's not. I mean, they are not. What he's saying is not too far from what is in the mind of many Nigerians. Because if INEC, with all the propaganda on electronic, play a big role in our election, we are going to transmit, and at the end of the day, we saw what is going on. So why are you leaving? You are leaving the judgment. You are leaving the judgment to fight a 5-man panel to give us the president of this nation. Anything can happen. So I am also in support. Nigerians should just brace up for whatever will come up from the election petition tribunal. Anything can go anyway. We have already started, but one good thing is that 100 years, like in my place, we always say 100 years, not be forever. If 44 years from now, whether he stays or not, we have opportunity to say, okay, we are going to have a change again. So we should brace up in whatever that will come up. My mind is totally, at vague, because we prepared so much for this election with all the transmitting of results, with all the electronic voting, with all PVC collection or registration and collection of PVC. Nigerians were ecstatic. Nigerians were very enthusiastic. At the end of the day, all that was truncated because they have an agenda. So if the agenda still plays out, we will carry on with the 4 years. Between now and 2027, God will still keep us, as we are very used to in this part of the world, because everything that we encounter here, we always remember God. But even those who we have been able to solve by ourselves, we call God for it. So we survive it. I think they are right. The best thing now is that you just have a neutral heart in whatever that will come up from.
Who were in support of the president, who actually thronged hard to support the president during the elections. How do you think their reaction would be? Because we saw in Kaduna where a group of individuals went to the National Assembly there to rock a protest, saying that the replacement by El Rufai should be immediately implemented. They're saying that Kaduna State delivered approximately well for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the elections. So it means that your ministers should be ministers that helped you deliver their various constituencies, and so you do the needful, when it comes to you giving them ministerial appointment. Do you think that is what the president should be looking out for now? Or rather, he should look for people that would help productively move the economy forward for him and possibly unite the crack already been experienced in the country?
That's politicians for you, Esther. They seek their own interests first, because immediately he gets in, as he's there now, he's no longer talking about this 4 years mandate. He's talking about 2027 mandate. Therefore, those that helped him now are going to be given much more assignment.
Do you think you want to run in 2027?
Esther, that's the thinking of every politician. Politicians have this self-interest. It must be me and myself and my family all alone. They are no longer talking about 2023 election. They are talking about how to make sure that by 2027 they retain the same position. So everybody that is coming in now is like a bargain. Come, we are going to give you this, but you must deliver. Look at what is going on. Look at what is going on in Edo State now. The governor is pleased to tell you that Governor Obaseki is pleased to tell you that his deputy has never delivered his own constituency, and as a result, he has never been relevant to his government. So that's what politicians will tell you, that we are giving you this. It's for a reason, and you must deliver. Now you've done 2023 to merit it, but 2027 you must also repeat it. So these are issues. So they share these things. Look at the ministerial list. What were we waiting for? For 66 days we were waiting for ministerial list. What is different? Who is that in that ministerial list that you and I do not know? We don't know the antecedent. I said some few of them. Is it Matawale, former governor of Zamfara State, that has a lot with the young man, the young EFCC man that is in custody now? Should that be one of the persons you'll be thinking that this is a credible person? Or even the El-Rufai that, I think it has to be that so many Nigerians were actually on him that he's stepping down is just because he became so ashamed of himself, and because he has never had it friendly with the media and Nigerians. That's why he came up and said he's leaving. Was he not in the house? If he was cleared, he won't have come down and say I'm leaving. He won't do it. It's just because he has some issues. That's why shamelessly came up and say I'm leaving. I'm clearing off.
Mr. Elvis, I want us to be realistic actually with what is currently going on in the country. We have 3 major viable sectors in the Nigerian economy that will help improve our internal revenue and also productively move the people forward. When I mean the people, the labor market itself, the active labor market. So we have the transportation sector. We also have normally petroleum and natural gas resources, which is our natural resource, which is petrol, which we are known for. We also have agriculture. That's also another viable sector that really helps. And other infrastructural, contracts on the way. These are aspects for urban development and all of that. These are sectors that really generates money when you look at it. So, but the former administration had issues with ensuring that we had some certain things in place, well beyond transportation anyways. But you had an economy that was not friendly at all. It's kind of discouraged investment opportunities, and then we were battling insecurity. So it's
contestants who have the same economic approach policy. Yeah, all of them said they were going to remove a subsidy. That was unanimous. But the approach to removal would have been different from the 3 of them. It's just like we in the media. If we attend assignments as journalists, the same story, where you will pick it, the angle you pick it will be different from the angle I may pick it. That's how it's going to. That's how it would have been. That drastic announcement on that inauguration, I don't think any of they would have consulted with the stakeholders in that very part of the economy, that industry. We must do this before the end of this June. Because we were told that the budget captured June at the end of June. We are going to do this. What are those necessities that we need to first of all put in place before we remove it? That would have been in the discourse. We would have an overview of it, even in the media. Discuss it. We are removing this. Okay, the CNG, they said they're going to come up with a condensed natural gas, what they call it, for us to be using. Within these 30 days, we would have seen that things are already taking some kind of shape. Remember 2021, Buhari's government said they were going to start converting vehicles to be using this compressed natural gas. Since that time, the same Buhari government is an APC. Why didn't they start it since then? We'll see that their expatriates are here training Nigerians on how to convert cars, and we'll be seeing
it has even started. Actually,
I mean, at what pace, Esther? At what pace? Then we would have seen some of these filling stations being converted to, like all these outlets of NNPC, their own mega stations. You also have some part of it that are converted to CNG gases. Then people are there converting cars, government subsidizing it. You will see that since that 2021 till now, there would have been so much on ground. So even with the removal of this fuel subsidy now, we would have affected Nigeria so much. It's only those that have said, I don't want my car converted, I would have been going to the filling station to be buying 600 and 700.
Which is what brings me to the question, the fact that was basically the fault of the previous administration, not putting things in place. Yes. So the question now is, for the president coming to inherit, he inherited a lot of issues, which is what Nigerians are saying. Do you understand would I say the overwhelming nature of the job you're coming to do? When you say Emiloko, it is my turn, do you know the kind of miracle that you have to implement as soon as you get into office? That's what Nigerians are literally saying. I'm going to come back to that, the crisis, right, that is brewing at the National Assembly, where legislators are outraged that principal lawmakers like Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Speaker Tajuddin Abbas are looting at breakneck speed the 500 billion naira palliative funds earmarked to cushion the harsh impact of fuel subsidy removal on poor Nigerians. And this was actually gotten by an investigative online newspaper, the People's Gazette, because they followed up. Apparently, Sahara Reporter started with the investigation, and then they followed up with the investigation. Now, a preview of the 500 billion naira subsidy palliative expenditure seen by the newspaper itself over the weekend showed that Mr. Akpabio ordered 4 Lexus L600 VIP 2023 models worth 1 billion naira to upgrade his personal garage, while Mr. Abbas plans to spend 9.5 billion naira renovating the Zazao guest house and other villages in Kaduna. Now, Mr. Abbas budgeted a whopping 500 billion naira for the construction of block of 3 classrooms with furniture and toilets in 12 wards, and 200 million naira for the reconstruction and refurbishment of Zazao Emirate Guest House in Kaduna. I'm sure you know Zazao Emirate Guest House. Now, apparently, in the course of the investigation, there were controversial spending, which was discovered. Well, especially considering how a lot of this allocated nearly 4 billion naira for the installation of solar streetlights in certain local governments in Kano, a project deemed inconsequential for a state known as supposedly Nigeria's poverty capital, because there are over 10 million poor people living there. Now, the street lights and the guest house remodeling, they say, will improve the quality of life of the millions of underprivileged Nigerians in those states, which, of course, Nigerians are saying remains to be seen. However, you do know that these key lawmakers were sworn in about 2 months ago, just 2 months, and they have begun cornering billions of naira through frivolous projects that may undermine President Tinubu's efforts to better the lives of poor masses and make them despise his administration. Let's look at the NDDC projects. This same Akpabio was actually in charge of the NDDC project, meaning monies allocated to the Niger Delta communities that are responsible, because they are the oil-rich states. And the idea is to help develop the communities that produce these oil-rich states. We saw the amount of monies that were seriously siphoned from that project, where the whole off-your-mic scenario came about. This particular individual was a cause for worry when they were canvassing for him to become the Senate president, because he had been known to be attributed to things like this. The question, Mr. Elvis, is this: do you think Nigerians have been so dormant that they've been pummeled extremely into poverty with no reaction?
That's exactly what we are talking about here, Esther. Esther, what we are saying here is that the flamboyancy started from, look at his antecedent as governor of Akwa Ibom State. Then to where we are now. These people are too flamboyant. That is why you are seeing all these billions being, chunked out to buy cars and all that. A Senate president who recorded his convoy and snapped it and sent it on Facebook. I mean, how is that helping Nigeria? To tell you what we are talking about, I don't think that Labour Party would have come up with this kind of flamboyancy
Are you sure? It's not about it's about the individuals this time around.
I'm talking about the individual who is the president, who will be able to manage his government. I don't think anybody would have been celebrating himself in affluence when Nigerians cannot feed. It's an aberration. Nigerians cannot feed. Somebody is buying cars of billions. Nigerians cannot pay their responsible bills. And somebody is telling you that you are renovating guest house. I mean, of what interest is that guest house to Nigerians when Nigerians cannot buy ordinary staple food in the market to eat again? So the flamboyancy in the government that they inherited and which we are still seeing is too high. They should drop it so that this thing can trickle down.
I thought you would talk about what team has been set up to monitor the 500 billion naira that was allocated by the press. I thought you were going to make mention of that.
There is no team. I've always been saying it here that there is no team set up for palliative. I've said it here that by this time next year we'll begin to ask ourselves questions. The money that we realized 1 year after palliative, where was it channeled to? We are going to start debating that by this time next year, because there is no agency on ground monitoring whatever we are getting back from this palliative that has not been removed. Nigerians will just go through this suffering for the next 1 year, and at the end of the day we'll have nothing to show for it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis, for your time on the World News at 12. I sincerely do appreciate your input. In order for us to wrap up the World News, let's take a look once again at the top stories. All right, you heard that Labour had emphasized economic shutdown on another palm price increase. Also, Ohanaeze tell Nigerians prepare for shocking miracle outcome. A federal government files 20 charges against Emefiele in Abuja, 6 to withdraw Lagos case. And Akpabio orders 4 Lexus SUVs for 1 billion naira. Abbas corners 9.5 billion naira contracts as National Assembly principals loot 500 billion naira palliative for